you see Jesse, he's just broken down, like just a shell of a person. He doesn't have anything left, you know. It's like everything's been taken from him. And I think Walt really realizes, you know, at that moment what he's done to Jesse. And so he dives on Jesse. Kind of looks like he's tackling him to fight him. And so everybody in the little room is like, oh yeah, you know, kind of cheering or whatever. And then you see Walt press the button, and the M60 pops out of the trunk and just sprays the whole building, killing, you know, almost everybody. Todd, of course, dives out of the way and doesn't get hit. But after the firing stops and the smoke clears, everybody's dead. Todd kind of crawls up to the window to see like what happened, and he's like staring at the M60 in the trunk, and he starts to say something to Walt, and then you see Jesse come up behind him with a chain and just chokes him out, dude. Just he just kills the shit out of him. I mean, you can see just like the anger on Jesse's face. Like, I mean, it's a show, it's not real. But what that kid did to him, like, I would have killed him way more brutally. Like, if I was Jesse, I think I would have grabbed some sort of blunt object and just beat his face into like a bloody pulp until his brains, you know, squish out of his head. But I think the choking worked just as well. I mean, I would have preferred the more gruesome death, but whatever. It's TV, so it's not The Walking Dead. I mean, technically he wouldn't be a zombie. I guess when it's a zombie, it's okay to be gruesome, but if it's a person... So after Todd, you know, is choked out, dies, Jesse kind of unchains himself, stands up, and there's kind of a tense moment between him and Walt. You can see Walt's not going to do anything, even though he's holding a gun, but Jesse doesn't really know that. And last time he saw Walt wanted to kill him, so, I mean, naturally he's a little bit scared. With him, Walt, you know, puts the gun on the floor and slides it over to Jesse. Jesse picks it up and points it at Walt. And Walt's just like, you know, do it. And Jesse's like, I want to hear you say it. Like, I want to, you know, Walt says, do it, I know you want this. And then Jesse's like, I want to hear you say it. I want to hear you say you want this. Basically saying, like, I don't necessarily want to kill you, but I know you want me to kill you, so say it. And Walt's like, well, I want this. And then he kind of pans down. You see that Walt's bleeding. He was hit by one of the bullets. Looks like maybe in his kidney, kind of below his lung a little bit. And so at that point, you can see like, well, he's pretty much dead anyway. So I don't think Jesse wanted to kill him, even if he hadn't been shot. So Jesse kind of drops the gun and been like, well, if you want it done, then do it yourself, and walks out. And then Todd's phone starts ringing, and it's that Lydia lady calling him. And you can see it cuts to her, and she's in this room with like this vaporizer going, and you can see she's all sick, obviously from the ricin. And Walt picks up the phone, and she's like, "Is it done?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's done. They're all dead." And he's like, Walt's just like, "Well, I poisoned you, Lydia. And you're feeling a little bit under the weather. You know, that's the ricin working through your system." Basically just says, you know, goodbye, Lydia. Hangs up on her. So now at this point, him and Jesse are outside, and Jesse's about to get into the car and leave. You can see Jesse looks at Walt for a second, like, I'm not sure what he was thinking. If he was thinking, like, are you gonna come with me? Or basically, like, this is goodbye, kind of. Walt just kind of nods, like, you know, just go. Jesse jumps in the car and takes off, like, kind of crying and laughing. Just, dude, Aaron Paul, like, he's so good at those emotional scenes. Like, he just sells it so well. Like, I was thinking back to that scene remember if it was in season 3 or 4, where he's still going to those drug rehab meetings, and he's telling a story about, they're asking like, oh, like if money wasn't, an option, or if it didn't matter, what would you do? And evidently, whatever you say, well, that's what you should do. If you say like, I would fix old cars, and you should be a mechanic or whatever. So Jesse's like, well, when I was in high school, I took this woodworking class, and talking about how he made this box. He just kind of did a half-ass just to get it done with, so he can get his D and get out, go smoke weed with his friends. And so his teacher like says to him, is this the best you can do? Like, not necessarily being a dick, like it sucks, but is this like, really, is this the best you can do? Because if it is, then fine, I'll grade this. And at first Jesse's like, hell yeah, bitch, give me my D so I can go, get high. And then I guess he actually starts thinking about it, and he's like, you know what, no, I can do better. And so he tells, how he starts making a new box, and he makes that one better, but he doesn't like it, so he starts over, and he makes an even better one, He makes like 6 or 7 boxes before he finally, gets it right. And he was rubbing it down. He makes it out of walnut wood, and he's rubbing it with all these like different oils, so it smells good and it shines. At the end, he has this like, amazing little box he made, and the guy's like, well, what'd you do with it? He's like, I gave it to my mom for Mother's Day or something. And the guy's like, well, obviously, what I'm gonna say next is you should go, work with wood, make cabinets or make furniture or whatever, make pipes. And Jesse's like, no, I lied. He was like, I sold it, for an ounce of weed or something, or traded it. So they have a scene at the last episode where Jesse's making the box. He's working on it, sanding it, polishing it. He's in this, wood shop, but it's all kind of like dreamy, like, almost like it looks like it's almost a dream, just the way it's lit. He finally finishes the box, and he picks it up, looking at it, smiling. And then all of a sudden it cuts to him in the meth lab, and it shows him like, prisoner basically. So even at his darkest moment, he was thinking about, his craft. And I was wondering if maybe that was foreshadowing. They were saying, well, obviously we're not going to see anybody anymore, but like now that Jesse's free, maybe he'll go start working with wood again. That's what he seemed to enjoy. That's what he was fantasizing about when he was a prisoner. Or maybe he was imagining doing that instead of cooking meth. So Jesse leaves, and Walt kind of goes back into the lab where he was and is looking at all the equipment. Basically, the lab they designed to cook, meth from methylamine. It was all the original designs, or Walt's really. And so he, as Vince Gilligan said, was with his precious, his chemistry set. And I forget the song that starts playing, but it starts playing a song, and it kind of just segues into the cops coming, and then the last shot you see is Walt laying on the floor dead. The cops are kind of surrounding him. I was very satisfied with the ending. There's been shows where it ended, like shows I really liked, where I was just like, what? Like Lost. I'm not gonna say how it ends, but I didn't like the ending. I love the show, but wasn't crazy about the ending. I like The Matrix, and that wasn't a show, but the series of movies, I hate the way that ended. God, I wish I could have wrote that ending. But Breaking Bad, I felt it tied up all the loose ends that needed to be tied up. And I felt like we got closure as well. I mean, nobody kissed and made up. Nobody lived happily ever after, but, it's life. Sometimes it works out and you live happily ever after. Sometimes you die of cancer like Walt. Or I guess technically he died from a bullet, but the cancer would have killed him eventually. So far, that show's number 2 on my list. Game of Thrones, still number 1. Anyway, kind of a long video, so I'm gonna cut it off. Hope you all are doing well, and talk to you again soon.